it's
getting a whole bunch more Harbor Town on Friday because I'm meeting Kirk at the Mini
Harbor Town is
Wargaming
an
Convention
all-new
in King of
series
Prussia.
from Miniature Building Authority,
So
the
we get
leader
some
in
more
tabletop
Harbor
gaming
Town.
scene. Unique,
Yeah.
flexible, and playable. Harbor Town will take your games to a new destination.
Sometimes it goes to the screen. Like, what can you guys see right now?
I'm 10 seconds behind. Otherwise,
Are you, okay, I just want to make sure you guys. Sometimes.
Oh, it's like 6, 7.
There he is.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yay!
Hello.
Perfect. Hi.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
clear.
and everybody
Great.
can hear, I think, because we're not live video yet.
Yeah, that's
but-
okay. We're allowed to talk
Yeah.
over stuff. I don't care.
Yeah. Perfect.
Always fun. Always fun.
My light seems harsh tonight. Sorry.
It's okay. Mine is too dim as usual. So, yep. I need to get one of these kind of big fancy LED lights or something. So, yeah. Turn on the. Yeah, that just lights up the
Is that better?
just
Oh
Right,
yeah.
the
Let me get cool, awesome blue and
Oh, that's
Like-
probably that's good for the theme lights. Yep, you get one here. So good to hear that you kind of ambushed Jay with a whole bunch of stuff. That's awesome.
Yes, he did.
yeah. Sorry.
Oh, it was good.
I didn't think about it till this morning. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't send you like stuff. So, or
But guess what? A lot of it was stuff that we talked about the stuff that I was like, oh my
good.
gosh, I forgot this. Oh my gosh, I forgot that. Oh my gosh, I forgot that. So,
yeah, I'm glad you caught that because I would have totally said it was a tapper, not a rapper.
because you change the name of it. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, but why would I call it a rapper? You know?
Yes. Because it's really not. He's not rapping tunes or anything.
Well, right. It breaks the whole verisimilitude of things. Although I
there's,
suppose
There's Christoph.
back then rapping might not have been. I guess it probably was around by then.
So I'm giving away 2 of these tomorrow night. 2 of those card games that you see right now, we're giving away tomorrow night on the broadcast. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, Stratagems. I played a little bit of it at Gen Con, and they were playtesting it there. And yeah, neat stuff.
Cool.
Really neat stuff. So I got 2 of them to give away tomorrow.
Awesome. So I don't know if Mike told you, Anna, but I will be coming to PAX.
Awesome. Yay. Awesome. Me too. Yep.
So I put the invitation out there for, and Christoph, this goes to you as well if you can hear this. We're having an all-star game, with my guys. If you can consider my guys all-stars, I don't know about that.
Oh
but-
yeah, they're already. Yeah.
How many collective years of experience at the
Oh my gosh, that's a
Well,
good
exactly.
question. It's got it.
Millennium here, so to speak.
40, 40, 40. That's 120. 37.
Talking 500
That just
years.
counts in my campaign. That doesn't count just playing too. So
Yeah.
All right.
there's David Leonard. David Leonard's Snafu, gentleman with the new the great blog.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Yep. So, yep. It's good to get some awesome people in the audience.
Yes, Alan, and this is going on Thursday, on the Saturday, December 14th. Tim is continuing his game. So as I said, if you can make, what we're gonna do, we'll do one in January as well. We have to. So.
Yeah, I was just sitting down looking at my time off. I need to take time off before the end of the year, or I'm gonna lose vacation time because of our evil overlords. And I realized I was planning to take off the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's, and then I was looking at the calendar and I'm like, but wait, 2 of those days are actually in 2020. They don't count toward me not losing PTO. So I have to take 2 more days earlier in the year than I was originally
It's
thinking.
perfect. Yep.
So Anna and Mike, how is this different from how Jay has done stuff when it's his show? What do I need to do differently, or?
Hey, welcome everyone to the inaugural Legends of Lore on the Lore Gazumba channel.
Yeah.
I'm really honored to be hosting this, so thank you. We got Anna Meyer and Greyhawk Mike, who always had the show running, and I'm really proud to be part of the edition. And for tonight, a very special guest. Everyone knows the Grow Dog, Alan T. Grow Jr. We don't want to call him his father, though, right?
Right.
I was starting to make that
Growy.
mistake.
Growy.
Growy.
Yes.
You'll get it right one time.
You know what?
Yep.
It's that South Jersey accent of mine. It's just no
Yep.
good. It isn't. So thank you all for coming. And Anna, why don't you say a couple things about what we have planned from this point
First
on?
of all, welcome so much to the 4th season of Legends and Lore. We're up to 30-some episodes, so thank you everyone who made it over to the Lord Gazumba channel. And a few words first about why we did the shift. And it was simply that, and they reached out to me from the Greyhawk channel and said that they're going to take the channel into hiatus for a while and we had started to work on getting the 4th edition or 4th season up and running. So I've been on. So Jay have kind of asked me to live in his Twitch channel for the past few weeks or months. So I thought it was a perfect kind of combination. Jay has the audience and the Greyhawk knowledge, and also some of the knowledge of how to run a Twitch show with all the technology and all
Thank you.
that
That
behind it,
helps.
so to speak. So that helps a lot, because a lot of you who don't do this don't realize that there's hours of preparing all the graphics and getting all the setup and all that stuff. And if Jay is already doing a lot of that, that could save. He already has some of it he can reuse for Legends and Lore, and I don't have to use it. So I'm more happily spending that time on mapping and doing other stuff that are more appropriate to what I normally do. So that was a bit of an explanation why we love to and I think we all love Jay's channel as well. So it was kind of a good thing to shift over, at least for the time being. We'll see, but I hope this could be
Great.
a long stay, so to speak, a long happy stay. So yeah.
So, Mike,
So-
yeah, so you just became a citizen of this free city of Altamira by doing that, by the way. So
Great.
Awesome.
it's one of those it's one of those channel point things. So
Yep.
if you're not
Yep.
a VIP, you get VIP status for a week from that.
Yep.
But you're already VIP, so you got double secret probation VIP status now. Anna,
And-
thanks for that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
for
one
you
of
to
the
say that.
traditions we've always had on basically every show is that Mike and me, we've talked a little bit about what we have been up to. So I think that we should stick to the tradition, and let me hand over the word to Mike and what you've been up to lately.
Well, surprisingly, I haven't been up to a whole lot. I've still been posting stuff on Greyhawkery, of course. If you've been on there, my most recent topic was me musing about a 5e relaunch. I imagine what a product line would be for Greyhawk in 5th edition.
Cool.
Doesn't mean anything. It was just me bored one day. So I have a good time reading that. Other than that, I'm just running a game on Sundays. Seems like every other week, just whenever we can get together. Pretty mellow.
Cool.
We know what kind of awesome stuff can come from you having a day when you're bored and you sit in front of a computer
Yeah.
and start writing things. There's some awesome blog posts that have come up that way over the years, definitely.
And Alan, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate
Yes,
it.
exactly,
Yeah.
Alan. So
Yeah.
what? Yeah. So
You
what?
guys are like my online family now. I mean,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. But this is
exactly.
your
it's like the Brady Bunch.
This is your
Yeah.
first ever Legends and Lore, right? This is the first
It is.
time we've been on
Yeah.
my show like 3 or
Yes.
4 times. It's been awesome every time.
Mhm.
And this is the same group we had for our Dragons Part 2 on Gabbin. So this ought to be
Yeah.
flow pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So Alan, what you've been up to? What are your latest kind of cool projects and stuff?
Well, let's see. So, my business partner in Black Blade, John Hirschberger, and I had a business planning meeting for next year last night. So we were plotting out our stuff for GaryCon and what products are going to be new stuff in our booth for the OSR and things like that. So that's always
Wow.
fun to kind of start to lay the foundation for, because we do a big year-end buy with folks who publish through Lulu. Because of all the big sales that happen right around Cyber Monday and Black Friday and stuff. So that there's extra sales you can get. I mean, those sales are always awesome to leverage in general, but then if you're working with the publisher, you can get all those additional sales are in addition to the discount you get as the publisher too. So it's like it makes some products much more feasible to do,
Yeah.
to sell it, at the booth and things. So that's always fun to start
Yeah.
working. And then, playing D&D, all that stuff.
great
So-
announcement that you're coming to PAX Unplugged.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's super awesome. So Anna's going to be there, and we know
Yep.
Christoph will be there as
Mhm.
well, and you'll be there, and I'll be there, and it'll all be a big party.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of fun. I booked my flight ticket yesterday, so now all the
So,
preparations
super
that I got, my hotel reservation and all that stuff, it's taken care of now. So I know that I will officially go. So yeah, everything
Cool.
is set up. And let me just take a few. I've started. I talked a little bit in the beginning about Rabbit Hole, and I'm on my 576 mapping project. I spent 2 days working on doing research, and I realized it's over 15 years since I was actually doing research of the Horn Society and the lands of Ayus and the Fell Reeve and those kind of areas, and really did research. And now with 15 more years of experience of actually working on Greyhawk material, and with more stuff to actually read and go through, I started finding lots of stuff. I've always said that there's nothing about Porn Society or the Land of Eve themselves, that they felt like empty voids. And all of a sudden I started reading these hobgoblin tribes, and Braggy, who made a series, I'm not sure his real name, but he goes under Braggy. He made a Greyhawk Adventures Atlas, a number of
yeah.
editions.
Yeah, I
parts.
remember that.
Yeah, and he started putting these tribes in there, and then I started diving into the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer and some other stuff, and there's a whole bunch of details about various towns and tribal areas
And the heraldry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff. So I realized this is a huge rabbit hole. So all of a sudden I'm putting tons of stuff in there, and I realized that, oh, this is so cool, and you can call it this, and so there are tribal areas for this, and you can use the names like Hoch Jebli and the Uros and stuff like that. So I realized what should be just a couple of hours, realized that was nothing, turned into 2 days of reading, putting stuff on the map. And so it's all of a sudden these areas start looking really full of stuff. So I'm really impressed by what you can find, even if and a lot of this stuff I've read it like 5 times and missed it, and because there's not much in one spot, but there's like a word here, a sentence there, an expression here, a place name there, and all of a sudden it kind of works out.
So is this stuff you're doing on your personal map, Anna, or the 576 map? Or
It will be both. When I do it, I just want to digest it. I put it on my campaign map, and then I use my campaign map and see what is kind of me taking too much of an artistic license and drawing too many conclusions, and then I try to keep the basics. And then I'll show both versions to my patrons, and they get to see if I've made a correct choice or not, and say that, oh, there's way too much speculation and stuff there, so don't put it on the map, we don't want to see it. Or maybe, oh, those things are cool, we should be there. So and then I will put it to the Facebook group. And speaking about that, the Flanies Geographical Society now have 1,997 members.
Wow.
So I'm going to make a kind of a Jubilee Facebook stream, hopefully in the next couple of days when we hit 2,000. So then I'm going to show this and see if we can have a discussion, and people can kind of chime in and say, oh, that's good, that's bad, and we don't want to see that, we want to see more of this. And it will be kind of a public beauty contest, and hopefully there can be some sort of consensus of what should be on the public version of the map or not.
Super cool.
Yep.
Absolutely super cool.
Yep. So
Well,
that's the main thing for me.
It's going to be a blast. I'll stick with what's going on with me at the end. How's that sound? Because
Okay.
there's
Yeah,
just so
perfect.
much.
So let's dig into the undead. It's like a late.
Snafu's already started.
Yeah, he
Oh,
has.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vecna IU's probably playing Anarchy and Accounts. Yeah, it's we may have tackled. We did dragons in 2 sessions on Gavin. We may have to say, we're going to do another one in 6 weeks or a month, because my gosh, especially and Alan came up with a lot of great stuff that I missed, and
there's
glad we
so
have
many undeads and stuff. So
the first thing I'd like to talk about, if it's okay, is Alan came up, and we all play different editions, but Alan had some great ideas about his undead in his campaign, and I'd like to see where everyone is with their undead too, Alan. So why don't you take over and talk about some your bullet points 2 through 5, I guess, is a good place, wherever you want to go with it. It's some questions out there.
So sort of like my house rules stuff.
And sure. Especially hash strength undead, which I think is a big thing. What do you do with them in the game? How do you work them? I have a way of doing it. You have a way of doing it. So especially when plays a Greyhawk. Good.
So this will be a little spoilery for Flubsy 1, so he might want to go on mute for a minute. So there, in Castle Greyhawk, in my version and in the original version, there are wights pretty close up at the top level, and they're one of the monsters that sort of guards access down to the lower levels in the dungeons, in one of the ways you can get there. And I didn't want to have a full wight running around with first level characters, second level characters. I mean, nobody wants to have that happen to you. So I decided it would be a half strength wight. And the rules in first edition for half strength undead are pretty vague about how they really work.
Yeah.
So I had some discussion with folks up on the Knights and Knaves Ale House, which is one of the other bastions,
Excuse me.
first edition AD&D, grognardly love, or insanity, as your sort of flavor decide to flavor it. And Dragon's Foot, there's been some discussion there too. So this white, I made a half strength white, and he's controlled by one of the full whites a couple levels down, and that guards access into his lair area. So he's basically a buffer zone for that particular white. And so in the end, I decided that so one of the questions you don't know is, so what does a half strength white mean? So whites are 4+3 hit dice. So is it a 2+1 hit die monster? Is it a 2+3 hit die monster?
Can they level drain? That's a good question.
Can it level drain? And if it does level drain, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Because a white normally drains 1 level when it hits.
Yeah, it could be strength drain instead. But on the other hand, do you have that in first edition? You don't have the ability.
You do have strength drain from shadows.
Okay, yeah.
But not from whites.
Yeah.
So I decided after kind of batting some various ideas around with folks to go ahead and I made them. So all the undead in my games have +3 on their hit dice. So I didn't change that. So it's a 2+3 hit die monster.
It makes sense.
And it does drain levels when it hits you, but unlike a regular white, I decided you get a saving throw against it.
That's smart.
I do the same thing. That's a
and
great,
then
yeah.
Yeah, and then I was trying to I was just thinking about this a little bit earlier today after we were emailing around some of this stuff, Jay. But then I was thinking, well, maybe in third edition they have rules about how you can get a saving throw against a level drain, and then it can come back after a day. And you make a Constitution check, I think, at your reduced level, or a Constitution saving throw at your reduced level, or something like that. It's been a while since I looked at it, and I was thinking, well, maybe that would be reasonable to incorporate into it for half strength undead. I wouldn't do it with a regular undead, but so that was just sort of another mulled idea I was thinking about there.
It's it's one of those that you never think about it until you're like, oh my gosh, like I have, like we used before we annihilated it back in the day. Old Mother Grubs in Greyhawk City is filled with half strength undead. It has to be, with all the vampire draining going on there. So we had to come up with rules for half strength vampires in that location, and that was that's a big one as far as. You don't want to make them too overpowering, but you want to give them some oomph so that they're scary too. So that's a good. I think the way you're handling it's good. What do you think, Mike, on that?
For
what would you do in a half strength? Yeah. What would you do?
Half strength undead.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I ran anything from that edition. I wouldn't even know where to start on an answer on that. I do know how later editions maybe handle that.
Okay. Sure.
Because like vampire, like in third edition D&D, you got vampires and vampire spawn, which have their own category that's already built in. I don't know if the spawn ever become full strength vampires.
I think when their master is killed, so to speak, that true vampire, then they move up the ladder. I think so. They become the top dogs in there.
So were vampire spawn like a separate template in third edition, Mike? I don't remember.
Yeah, that might be what it is. It's
okay.
Yeah, in the same thing in Pathfinder, and I don't know how it is in fifth edition, but have they kept the spawn thing there too?
I haven't really crossed that bridge yet.
I have to look into the manual. Hang on a second.
Yeah. Now, giving saving throws, I'm on board with that. One thing I have kind of got away from was level draining. I think level draining can really derail groups. So I've always been in favor of stat draining. That's why I like shadows and things like that. Shadows, losing your strength can really scare fighters and things. I enjoy that more than level draining.
Enjoy. The keywords enjoy.
Enjoy.
Like torturing your players with.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, DMs are going to handle it different ways, and it's a big thing when you're running when you're running something that can really make your day really
Say fifth edition monster manual, they have spawns. Vampire spawn have spawns. Yep.
Oh, so Scott says 5e whites create zombies. That's
Oh.
new. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you can do a lot of cool things, and you can also give them various resistances and stuff to some. And what I sometimes play with, it's that if they're in an evil temple or desecrated area, they become harder to turn and they do more damage, and there's certain stuff like that. They become tougher.
Now,
So
one thing I do like about 5th edition that I don't know if the previous ones had was when a zombie gets knocked to 0 hit points, he gets a saving throw against the damage to stay
Uh-huh.
at 1 hit point.
Oh,
So it's like,
okay.
it's like, the zombie's dead, and then he gets up again.
yeah.
It's very cinematic, I think.
Yeah, you can have various dead respawn, so to speak, and you can have like skeletons coming from the pieces and there are new ones being made, so you have to kind of crash them again. You can thematically create kind of
can't
cool
kill
things
anything.
that way, so to make them hard, and you can also have, then you have all the incorporeal undeads like ghosts and others that opens up a whole new kind of possibility. I had one adventure when I wanted to be really sneaky, and me being a horrible evil DM, so I made some undeads that were normal like zombies and skeletons, and made them earthreal so they can move through various walls and strike from various that become really nasty and difficult. So they can kind of go like facing spiders or something back and forth. So you can really sprinkle other stuff on. You can spice them up, so to speak, various shapes and forms. Or you can turn them on fire or something like that. So they kind of do fire damage, and someone said you can have bone to steel is a very good spell to put on
I
skeletons.
remember.
Yeah, to make them real nasty. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
cover them in burning oil or something, and then they become difficult.
There's a lot of necromancer spells. Like there's one double spell that if you turn them, they come back as double the amount. Unturnable. That's another nasty one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you do with low level as well. Definitely. You can always make someone's day very wishing that they hadn't gone out attacking undead. I mean, undead can be really. It can get really nasty if you don't watch it. So.
And you can almost use swarm tactics because some lower undeads works well on mass, meaning you can have, like I've had some instead of having water in the moat, you can have a lot of undeads in the moat that simply, if you try to get
Ooh.
across, you can
That's going on the notepad.
Yeah. So you can simply say that I use and others. They simply throw all the prisoners down there, and then they die, and they erase the zombies or skeletons, and you have hundreds of them or thousands in the boat, and that creates a kind of a good scary barrier, and that way when someone fall in that, you simply use the swarm mechanic to overwhelm them, so to speak. So in like 3rd edition of Pathfinder, you have, and I think 5th edition also have swarms, so you can use swarm mechanics, and they become really nasty things to get out of.
So this is probably a topic that Alan brought up for another time, but I have specialty priests and you have clerics, and not all of that, and some of them don't turn undead at all, right? And so Alan, why don't you explain where you were going with that? And
oh, sure. Well, yeah. So like in Greyhawk, I think they've given us all sorts of great detail about different clerics and powers that they get from the box set and stuff. So Priests of Heronius can do that positive energy blast and things like that. And I've done a lot of variations around Weejas cults in my games, where some are able to, even if they're good clerics, they can command undead into service because she's, anti-undead. So that's their way of sort of cleaning them up and getting rid of them and things. So they command them into service and march them into a fire or something,
That makes perfect sense.
So, but other clerics then wouldn't necessarily have undead powers at all in games, and they would be, more focused around whatever the deity's spheres of influence are and stuff. So,
and with specialty priests, we have a lot of those, and it's not necessarily based on alignment; it's based on ethos. I think I'm not sure if like especially priests of Keladin would want to be care about turning undead. You know, the Sword Lord, for example. You know, turn undead, I believe, would be nil in that case. But like,
Right, or
yeah.
like a priest of Bokob might be able, instead of being able to turn undead, maybe they turn magic.
Yeah. Counterspelling, they might be,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, that's
Or that,
that's
you know, it's sort of maybe like it's like a dispel magic effect that's temporary, you know,
Yeah.
to suppress a wall of force so you can get through
Yeah.
it or something.
Yeah, that's I'm taking that to my notebook here. So that was awesome. Yeah.
So
So I think
Go
that that just grew out of my interest in the, you know, different kind of ways the gods are represented in Greyhawk. And
Yeah.
that natural consequence of that to me was that, you know, some folks wouldn't be able to turn undead at all.
and it comes to the point where there's certain undead in certain situations that you shouldn't be able to turn anyway. Some of the more nastier types, you know, or the ones that are like a skeleton warrior that's neutrally based, you know, it's like circlet and all, like it probably shouldn't even be turnable anyway. So, but I really appreciate your points that you made down here, and that was a real good one. Was you know that clerics aren't the be all end all to take out undead, you know. So
Yeah, and I use the alternate turning rules progression in that Gary outlined in the Dungeon Master's Guide for first edition, which basically extends the viability of the mid-tier undead as a threat higher into the turning progression for clerics. So it's the same curve structure for things, but the clerics are basically just not able to automatically turn and destroy undead as early in the process for the middle level undead and stuff. So
yeah, because it scales up when they're 9th level, man. They can really take out a lot of things, you know,
Oh,
in
yeah.
Neil 1E, and it was kind of a little bit overpowering. So I always had to give them like special abilities of some sort or another to deflect that, and then my players would complain, but that's too bad. So
And 3.5 and later editions, then turning is simply the amount of hit dice you can turn, meaning you can overwhelm if you have lots of undeads, then overwhelm many, because you always start by turning the lowest ones, meaning a moat full of one hit die skeletons will overwhelm any cleric, meaning then you can have, as long as the more powerful undead are standing behind the less powerful undead, and there are lots of them, then they're safe, so to speak, from turning. So there, I don't know how that works in earlier editions, but you can kind of work a little bit, you can kind of tweak the rules a little bit that way, or you can, and also you can use desecrated evil areas to be more effective, that makes turning less effective, and vice versa, meaning you can take refuge in a good temple or a sacred area to defend yourself, because that will be almost like automatic turning that adds hit dice to the turning ability of a cleric. Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah, definitely a great topic there, and I wanted to. Alan had some really cool points on this, but why don't we do what we do with dragons, and we each take a turn and pick something, whether it's a monster or an individual of Greyhawk of renown, and then we just discuss it and we go around in a circle until the time expires. How's that sound? Well, we start with Mike.
Yeah,
Mike, you want to start it off? What do you got?
So you want me to...
Whatever you want to talk about. You want to talk about a monster? You want to talk about an individual?
All right, let's get my favorite one out of the way then, and that's Vecna.
Okay, absolutely.
Undead Archlich God. He is probably my preferred supervillain, even over Ayu's.
Yeah.
Just, I think.
One quick question: was Vecna the original Lich, the one that invented Lichdom, or do you think, or
it could be implied with the title? I don't know. At least from our point of view, Greyhawk.
Yeah, from a Greyhawk, yeah,
would be. Snafu's listening. Now, Vecna had an interesting ascent because he's like this super wizard, ruled a kingdom, then went undead, and then you didn't hear much from him for a really long time. Then he comes back and he's a deity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he a self-made god? I can't really recall, but usually they're not. But he's got so much. He always aspires to more and more power all the time. He's like a comic book villain. That's what I like about him.
Do you love Vecna Lives, the module series, that adventure? Do you dislike it?
When I first ran it, I liked it. I was like totally on board with scaring the crap out of my friends and torturing them. Then, then in retrospect, I'm thinking, why did I run that? That was like, it can destroy your campaign if it goes badly.
Right.
And then now, I've wrote more and more blog posts and thought about things. And there was the follow-up adventures and Ravenloft.
Remind everyone of the plot. Yeah. We had a question from the audience. The plot of Vecna Lives.
The plot of Vecna
generally.
Okay. Mm-hmm. The plot of Vecna Lives is a cult tries to kind of acquires the items or something like that, and the Circle of Eight goes to investigate. Things go badly, so then the Circle of Eight's henchmen have to kind of take over the investigation. And so the whole time they're like chasing this cult around, not really knowing, like in the background, there's something even bigger waiting. And there's also some planar travel involved. You globetrot a little from Greyhawk, City of Greyhawk to the Backlonish West. It's really unlike any of the other adventures that were before it. But kind of lethal.
Yeah, absolutely. And how many different pieces of Vecna can you find in that one?
Just two.
Okay.
Yeah,
just two in that one. Okay. Yeah. Beyond the hand and eye Vecna, there's others. There are different pieces of the. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure. Yeah, there have been over the years, but Thunder Bays mentions the Iron Hand of Vecna. I think that's the other thing that appeals to me about it is this is the guy who has two artifacts named after him, after his body parts, no less. And that's another huge sign, that he's more than just some undead boss,
Mike's got some background noise there.
That's why I try to mute myself, but you picked me to go first.
Okay. Yeah.
It's okay. It's all. Yeah. It's super cool.
But Vecna is one of these kind of. First of all, it's a Greyhawk icon because it fills so many niches, and both you kind of just the artifacts can kind of be a basis of a campaign themselves because they're powerful. And if you want to go back in history, it's also the story of Vecna's kingdom that goes back and the fight with Kaz and the sword of Kaz, and there's a whole system of artifacts and stuff that can influence, and you can build a campaign just on one of the artifacts or many of them, and also the history, and you can find places, and then you have the Vecna as a deity that can be the kind of a base of a new cult and stuff if you want that too. So it's an undead on steroids, so to speak. So the ultimate, like you said, it's an ultimate supervillain that they can take many different shapes. Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that they called him an Archlich in the Dungeon Master's Guide was like really cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's so cool. Now you have Archlich, and then you have another one that we can talk about later.
Just for foreshadowing. There is a lot of liches in the world of Greyhawk.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. There's a whole bunch of them. Yeah,
almost as more than Animus's.
Them apart.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huge amount, which is.
Oh, and there you have the other lich there on the image down there, the demi lich.
Yes. So why don't we talk about that? Because that is like the nastiest. I mean, when I was a little kid and I read that in Monster Manual 2, I was like, oh my god.
It's
so ancient and so, the Lich is basically its
Mhm.
form is just it can't sustain itself anymore, and it falls into and you need +5 weapons to damage it, and it's going to do all these awful things to you. I mean, and everyone goes, I'm going to put this against my party. Have we all been there?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Put the
Oh yeah.
Demi Lich.
I had a Demi Lich once back in the Blue Moon, and yeah, that I even forgot why I put it there or who it used to be. So that was back in the Monty Hall days, long time ago.
Yes,
But there is
absolutely.
at least one very famous Demi Lich in Greyhawk that is now made it into
And Anna, you got me. Who's that is who?
Mike, I think, kind of always put your head. Yeah.
No, I was gonna let you roll with it.
Well, I'm thinking about a Serarak,
Yeah,
and
Tomb of Horrors.
exactly Tomb of Horrors is
Okay.
it's actually, I'm not 100%. I don't think it actually started out as a Greyhawk adventure, but it got placed in Greyhawk, and then it's probably been placed in many other, and then now it's become, I would say, mainstay D&D lore, and not only Greyhawk, but it has a place in
Right.
the swamps. And hang on a second here, I need to zoom out.
Okay, there we go. So
there
I
you have it.
I
The
have maps
vast
set.
swamp.
This is some of the new technology, and we're testing. We tested it
Mhm.
on Sunday, but
Yep.
that is it. The Tomb of Horrors in the Vast Swamp. Just wanted to pop that up to show everyone the location.
So that was
of
the location, from judging from the description in various sources, that I put it there. But it's an adventure that have transcended Greyhawk into D&D main fiction, and maybe even beyond that, so to speak. So
It's
yeah, exactly. I think, Will, you're right. It started as a tournament module. Like so many Greyhawk modules, they were not originally set in Greyhawk. They were just general D&D modules that got placed in Greyhawk later, after they were done.
definitely a save or die, or some instances no save, or you're dead in that look. In that it's super.
And now we need to hear from the real expert here. Alan has way more knowledge about this than I do.
About which?
Well, the Tomb of Horrors and Acererak and all that.
Yeah, I was looking for my copy of Vecna Hand of the Revenant, but I just saw it earlier, and now I couldn't find it on the shelf. So either I pulled it out and put it down so I would have it at hand, or whatever.
Snafu has a very interesting theory. I think Acererak created the vast swamp to hide his tomb. I think it's a very interesting, cool idea to play with. Yeah,
absolutely. So, Alan, what would you like to discuss?
Well, so like, and I pronounced him as Acererak.
okay.
I mangle words and they get stuck in my head.
I'm probably the one
nothing,
mangling it way more than you do.
I'm sure I've dropped an entire syllable there. But yeah, he's a lot of fun. And the Tomb of Horrors, of course, is so classic. But in the art book that was published by Wizards of the Coast just a little while ago, they released the original version of the Tomb of Horrors from Origins 1975.
Wow.
Which was the prototype of the Gary's version that then later got published in 1978. And then that version was based on a short little dungeon written up by Alan Lucian, who was a member of the Castles and Crusades Society and such, and he sent it to Gary, and then Gary expanded it vastly further and in different directions and stuff like that. And that, so somewhere between the original version Alan had and then the version that Gary used at Origins in '75 is what was used in the Greyhawk campaign originally when Lord Robilar was playing it through the first time, and then when Tenzor was playing it through and stuff.
Awesome.
So it's always neat to sort of be able to see the how things changed over time. So when you hear about Lord Robilar beating the tomb and all of his orcs dying in the hallways as he goes in and stuff like that, you have to kind of wonder, okay, so which version was it that he was playing? The original version, or the Origins version, or something after that Gary turned into the final version?
They're all just as deadly, though.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
There are a whole bunch of liches around. When I've started studying, there's like one in the Fellery Forest, one ex-hierarchs from Horn Society hiding around there. That is a lich, and then let's see if I remember some more. There are a bunch of others that I think.
I have one, a
Yeah.
lich that I'm going to tie in, and this is an Alan question that Alan posed in his letter in his email. Do you consider Strahd, the original Strahd from original Ravenloft, and Azalin and Strahd from Ravenloft 2 as part of Greyhawk? Alan, I know you were deciding on that case too. What do you think?
I think you can fit anything in Greyhawk you
Right,
want to. I
right.
mean, that's
Yeah.
But it's really based, before the plane of Ravenloft existed, it was in this Barovia
It was that
land or
module.
whatever. Yes,
Yeah,
there was that
exactly.
module. Then there
Right.
was that second module. So, and Azalin the Lich appears in Ravenloft 2, the House on Griffin Hill. That's the first appearance of him that I know of in I-10, and that was one of the most difficult adventures to DM ever, because
I've never run or played that one, so I wasn't aware that's where it came from.
yeah, he's in that one, and so that's Christoph says Azalin is and Strahd isn't. Okay, fair enough. It's just it's a
I would agree with that.
it's a question
Yeah.
that I was curious. Strahd Strahd tastes a little. I love both those adventures, and I never we run them and never specifically do a placement in Greyhawk, but just a question to throw it out there for me.
Yep.
So okay, Anna, you're up. That would be mine. So what?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we have some. Yeah, Asalin and Saragrim. The Just. That's an interesting one. I've heard the name. I don't know any of the details behind it really, but it seems really, really, really cool. So it's kind of. But let's dig in. I'm kind of interested in. I want to go back to the Hamlet, because in Hamlet there is that infamous torture room in the that was my first encounters with undead. I think when we played it when I was like 15, 16 years or something like that. When I started playing, we played Hamlet, and then that was the dungeon room, and there I think it's wights that are in there, or no, it's ghouls, I think, or
I
something.
think it's ghouls.
Yeah, they're
There's
fast
ghouls,
and
there's
nasty as hell.
zombies,
Yeah,
yeah.
zombies and ghouls, and that was my first encounter. And that moat house dungeon with those undeads, they're real nasty, so to speak. But that was my first encounter with undeads at overall, and also the first one in Greyhawk. So and it's, I think it's one of the really classic just a little room, and with a secret door to back to the rest of the dungeon, if I remember correctly. But
Here's my house.
Yeah.
Here's my house rule on ghouls.
Mhm.
Their paralyzation is not permanent. 1 to 6 turns. Ghasts are. That's my difference. Ghouls are the as Jason Zavas says, ghouls are the TPKer of the low level party.
Yep.
Unless you're all elves.
Paralyzed are
yeah.
nasty. It's like a kill death spell. You're like, you can be killed, and it wouldn't be any different when you're paralyzed or killed. You're gone from the action, and you can't do anything. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely one for that. So
Yep.
and a good one. Just Mike. We got. I mean, the thickness of all the stuff is just insane.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way we'll
Yep.
get through it all tonight. This is gonna be a blast. I'm just talking about some stuff.
I'm seeing in chat here, Wiley Hobbit's asking if Goodman Games is redoing the Hamlet, the T series. I know they're doing Barrier Peaks.
Yeah, they've
Right.
done the S. Yeah. Mhm.
But I'm not aware beyond that.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about what's upcoming next from them.
We can ask them.
We don't have an announcement coming for GaryCon that I'm aware of on that front. So,
but we can ask them
Hey.
at PAX Unplugged. They'll be
Yeah,
there.
we'll see if they're there and see if we can get some information out of them. That will be so much fun. Yep.
Awesome. Mike, you're up.
Well, let's see. I would like to rant a bit on an undead I don't like,
That's good.
and that would be the Animus.
All right.
yes.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
we're coming to
There
the
we
Greyhawk
go.
Essentials here. Yes, I was waiting. Okay.
I like everything Sergeant era usually, but this one I'm a little confused about. Like, why? Maybe I just don't remember well, but
There we go.
why they were all these nobles were turned into undead, or how?
It was
Um,
Ivid, the King Ivid wanted them
I know.
malleable and controllable,
But then they weren't.
exactly. Well, he kind of
And they
disappeared.
had lots of immunity to magic.
I
Well,
mean,
that was kind of the game mechanics side of things that
like
I kind
Lord
of
Drax was totally out of control.
yeah.
I don't know, just you know,
I love the idea, but and I haven't since I run the third edition and
Yeah.
Pathfinder. I haven't looked at the mechanics much. I'm more kind of given them various undead traits to scare players and stuff with, and make them
sure.
nest,
I mean, custom.
to speak. Yeah, and
like
make them.
Weekend did, I suppose that's the
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Well, I'm
and
thinking
make
from a story standpoint.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It's like one of them things that maybe, if I had a chance to redo it, why not just make them vampires? It was a wasted
I
opportunity
think
to have
it
a
kind
whole.
of. Yeah, I think it's kind of punished them. Vampires
vampires.
are too sexy and too positive. So to
But
speak.
can animus go outside in the day and vampires can't? I think that's one of the big
Yeah,
differences.
they can, but I think that they deteriorate and they become miserable and controllable and stuff like that. So I think it was kind of a punishment from the older King Evid to give it as a curse, so to speak.
Confuses me because you already have Death Knights, you already have demons and devils roaming around. Was it really necessary to come up with a whole new breed of undead?
Yeah, that's true.
It's a great point. It
I
is. I never played in the Great Kingdom. We were always, the other side of the map, so I can't.
Yeah, I used them for my Rel Devon campaign. They were around, so to speak.
I got a little mileage out of using them.
Yeah, me too.
So Bavik says it's in the text. It was due to Balzaphan's influence.
Well,
yep.
That's another thing. It's like, okay, Balzaphan.
Right.
So you have
where's that come from?
Diabolic. Yeah, you have Diabolic created undead, but then the Death Knights were created by demons.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah. It's kind of the Death Knight story are kind of a little bit. That's another one I wanted to discuss, but yeah, because that's one that is everywhere, so to speak, to some degree, and it's a little bit screwed up. I love the story of the Death Knights in the Great Kingdom, and
I would have been much happier building.
Yeah, but I skipped the Demogorgon bit, so to speak. I skipped that connection at all. For me, it's Hell Knight. The Death Knights, they're originally from Hell, so to speak. It's a Hextorian kind of thing in my campaign. So I skipped the demon bit, so to speak.
Now, Ivid the Undying, he's undead. Why not just make, he was a wizard, right? So why not just make him a lich?
I'm not sure what Ivid was personally, but yeah, I'm not sure.
He could have been, the newest of the whole lich family.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's probably the way I see them, as a kind of instead of becoming a lich yourself, it's a kind of an under lich or half lich that someone else curse you with lichdom against your will, rather than you undergo it yourself. That's a little bit how I see it, so to speak. They come and do it, and also for me it was like I see Ivid not as some huge powerful leader that way. I see him as a piece of that was kind of, and he was Karul, that his master wizard and some of the other ones that kind of concocted this, and Ivid was the connection to the nine hells, so to speak. And he became the
experiment fractured the kingdom.
Yeah.
Didn't have any cohesive.
Yeah, but I love the idea that undead kind of, it spread that way through it kind of tainted the whole administration of provinces and princes, and they had to run for cover. But the Death Knight is I think it's an awesome segue, because that's one of my absolute favorite undeads is the Death Knights. I've overused them. Hags and Death Knights have been way too popular in my campaigns.
So does the Greyhawk Death Knights, I'm just throwing this out for the rest of you guys, does the Greyhawk Death Knights predate Lord Soth?
Yes.
Dragonlance Death Knight.
I think they do.
Yes, because if you
Yeah.
go to Scott Benny's article, and that was the one that Alan brought up that we both had, and that is from an old Dragon 79, and then Gary Julian revisited it in number 291. Dragon. You have
Yep.
and it was an article on Saints by Scott Benny, and it was the Fallen Paladin, Saint Kargath, King of the Death Knights. I think I actually have a picture of him up here
Yep.
from the
Yeah, I
291
love-
article.
Yeah,
There he is.
There was a whole bunch of series of articles describing all the different Death Knights that were part of the original set in Great Kingdom, and I love those. That was the art was fabulous, and some of the mechanics and stuff in there was perfect. Yeah.
That was this gentleman I've used multiple times in my campaign. So from this article. So Alan, have you utilized them as well?
I have, yeah. I kind of used Saints and Kargoth also as a sort of an equivalent to the level of power of the quasi deities. So
Exactly.
They were all sort of in that same, greater than name level characters, but not quite gods yet level. And they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, because that's the level where you can actually have them interact with characters. When they get to the god level, then it's like it's all over. You're not going to do that. But now that quasi level, that saint level, you can have them in that interaction. So that's super cool.
Yeah, and I like the idea of them sort of like you were saying, Anna, about kind of changing the relationship around. Like if the Death Knights weren't created necessarily by Demogorgon, but by somebody else, and I do the same thing. I have them associated with Orcus.
Yeah.
You can make the Saint then sort of this intercessory figure for them for evil. So it's he becomes somebody that they pray to, and he comes and visits you and pats you on the head and says, "Good job, destroying that village," or whatever, and stuff. So they become sort of much more. I like the idea of agency to the gods, and that's how these figures get out there into the world and wreak their havoc.
Yeah, and I've made different versions, meaning the Horned Society, that they have several of their high priests. It's a bit like high level clerics and wizards. They can become lich, and high level evil knight fighters and other warlike. They can become Death Knights, and it's simply if you evil enough and you do so many evil deeds and stuff, so you basically become on then some evil deity or others can simply bestow that on you. And I use in my campaign have done a bunch of them. It takes an investment from the deity, and they have to use some of their powers and stuff, but they can create these from loyal, willing servants, so to speak, to get it. It's more like a privilege to select few. So I have some. So I have some, but they function slightly different. They have a little bit different abilities depending on who create them. So they get slightly different. They're not cookie cutters. They can do exactly the same things. They have a little bit different special abilities and magic abilities, but their basic become undead and powerful tools for their creators, so to speak. That's their and it needs to be a willing kind of I want to serve some evil master somehow, and so the Horned Society have some that are connected to Nerul and others, and then you have IUs have some that function slightly different. I've simply put them on the Death Knight banner, and then there are different varieties for various cults and other evil things that they work kind of different, but I can't stay away from them. They're too cool to use in campaigns. So so I'm sorry for my players who have to interact with too many Death Knights. Yeah.
What was the one on the random encounter you had? But that was a Death Knight, right? Just walking down the road.
That was Duke Sephrin. And so I made Duke Sephrin, and this it's a kind of we said it in one of the earliest episodes. I'm going to make a short, and it's part of me running Sandbox, meaning everything that is in the world are there, whether the players or the characters are first level or 20th level. It is there. So navigating the world is really important. And then for some reason there was the Duke Sephrin who come back and started to fight on various behalf and now wanted to steer action. He was simply going through the area where the characters happened to be. and they saw the evil clouds coming and all the nasty stuff when he was writing, and they decided, they were like fourth, fifth level, something like that, and decided that we need to stop this thing. So they put a rope around over the road and so on, and he came there with his nightmare and or like undead horse, and the horse tripped, but he's made it safe. So he stood there and looking like, okay, there's someone messing with me. So he looked around, and the first character kind of ran up and wanted to kill him, and he simply used the first fist attack and just punched him to Kingdom Come, and then he took up his sword and the next hapless character came, just chopped the head off instantly, and then the other three were like, okay, we're going to make one attack and really run all of us and overwhelm him. And when they started doing that, then he used his Eldritch Blast, and it was only the one that was punched unconscious was the only one that survived the incident.
The moral of the story was
Yeah.
don't mess with everything in the random encounter, right, Anna?
Exactly.
That was it.
Yes. Yeah. Just because you see something doesn't mean that it's there to be killed. That's in my sandboxy campaign. That's the thing. Meaning the high level things are there whether you're high or low level. And yeah.
Marl might be the player whose character got knocked out.
Yes,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
knocked out, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
can't
That's yep.
I'm out over here.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep. So that was Lord Sephrin. That was Lord
Jeez.
Sephrin. That was actually I gave him some of the undead, and he was kind of an animus that had really become more powerful and learned to fight better. So he was effectively more like a Death Knight. So yeah.
Let's tackle Christoph's question out there. If
Yeah.
that's it. He's talking about, and Tui liches could be of any alignment, and in 1990 there were good liches. I never went there at all ever. What does everyone here say?
I have some. I've done the opposite, but let's go around the table. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Mike. What do you think?
Well, are good liches a Forgotten Realms thing? Are Bane liches
Yeah.
good?
Were they called Banelars, maybe? Does that
Something
sound?
like that.
Yeah.
So I would say I've never used them, not because it's a Forgotten Realms thing necessarily, but I mean, just with the liches at your disposal from, published sources, they're all evil or neutral, I believe. So I've never really had the urge to say, "Oh, I'll create a good lich." Yeah, I never really got around to that. I mean, I guess I could, but I don't see why a good aligned spellcaster of any sort would want to become a lich. There'd have to be some justification in there somehow.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe an awful curse.
I
or
agree
something.
with that too, and I found one when I was doing my Reldevin campaign. I read through the city of Reldevin and all the descriptions and stuff, and there is a society called the Eldritch Lords of Reldevin that are supposed to they are some of the magical guardians of the city, and there's some sort of society of the Magi or something. There's kind of cryptic description what the Eldritch Society of Eldritch Lords of Reldevin really is, but I'm not going to spoil everything here because I want to keep some of it for posterity. But it was simply they had a magical secret of really, really high proportions that the wizards of Reldevin, because we're talking Reldevin is one old ancient city from the Great Kingdom days, so they had some powerful school of magic and stuff for probably the better part of 1,000 years. So it's older than Greyhawk City and its school of magi and magic. So it's been there a long time, and they had a something that needed protection, and in order to make sure that they will be around to protect it, some of the Eldritch Lords, when they get really old, they make themselves liches and lock themselves in there with guarding these magical, not treasures, but more knowledge, so to speak, and maybe artifacts or maybe other things, and so they guard it, and by becoming liches, they can actually guard it forever, so to speak. And then you have the oldest member, still living member, is the one running the city, and it's now Prince Carvend that is the of House Crandon that is the elder member that is still living member, so to speak. So when he gets old and start realizing he might die, he will actually become he will become a lich, and he will lock himself up there with the other ones to guard this and keep the continuity of the protection of it's a bit like protecting the nukes or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was one way of implementing the idea of a neutral or a good or non-evil lich, so to speak. They're doing it for the greater good of the realm.
Yeah, in the Dragon 95 adventure, they had an introduction to the Forgotten Realms tournament adventure that they published, written by Ed Greenwood, and it has this lich in it. And he's a lich who was one of the former instructors at the School of Magic at Myth Draenor. And he's not necessarily, I think he is evil, but he won't go out of his way to sort of just destroy characters, because it's like a low level adventure. And he's there basically as a character that you can interact with, and if you poke the bear too much, he'll meteor swarm you or something like that. But I think he's sort of the model of that kind of caretaker figure in my head, at least, for somebody who's got that long-term goal to be around and do stuff. But I still think with Mike, I mean, I think I agree completely. You somebody who's got the hubris to become a lich and cheat death and wants to live forever.
Yeah,
you're probably not good.
No,
really.
Normally, I would totally agree. It needs some sort of special reason or exception for it. Yeah.
Here's my thinking. So in the world of Greyhawk, all your high-level wizards and quasi-deities that we know of, so I'm talking like your Mordenkainens, your Zagigs, your Merlin, so on and so forth, they're all extending their life. They use various magics and whether to use it. Some actually gain actual immortality. Not a single one of them attempted lichdom.
Right.
Maybe Zagig, I don't know. But yeah. And I would say these are on the good, neutral to good end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a desirable thing.
Good question.
Yep.
And we got a real good, we really felt that one out really well. So I appreciate that. Alan, what do you want to just talk about next? Got to have some real tidbits here.
Well, I think there's, kind of talking a little bit about the idea of classed undead. It gets into the, if you think about how liches are your magic user, and or cleric, high level dual classes potentially in some cases. If your Death Knight's your high level fighter type undead, is there an undead type for thieves? We don't see any really, I think, in the rules officially. If you think of the gods of Lonkmar, they're the mummy-like figures that save the city of Lonkmar in Fritz Lieber's fiction. But then in the Thieves Guild, they've got all these lich-like master thieves who are in there. So I've always liked the idea of kind of liches could be different classes than just just clerics or magic users. And I think if I'm remembering right, I think in the Lair of Maldred the Mighty from a White Dwarf adventure, I think that guy might be a fighter lich, if I remember right. Maybe he's a magic user. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look. Maybe I created an adventure inspired by that was a fighter lich. I don't know. So free-willed undead and what class options are available. What do you guys do with that stuff?
I've seen wights and ghasts and ghouls and stuff, a bit like roguish, kind of quick, dexterous, free-willed ones as being vampires. Another one that can suit the bill.
I look at one of my favorites that would be any class, and that's the Revenant, right?
Oh,
the Revenant could be of any class because that's a self-willed coming back for revenge. So it could be any race, any class. Just you have to die a horrible death, and you're looking to seek revenge on those that killed you. So that would be one. Yeah. And I love, Ravager of Time. Because at the end, the Revenant, I'm sorry if it's a spoiler, but her ex-lover or whatever comes back after her at the very end, Nuala, and one of the most depressing adventures ever written of all time too, if you ever played it. So yeah, very depressing. But so we've got a lot of questions out there, which I really appreciate. Thank
Yeah,
you so
they're-
very much for the.
Yeah.
Um,
hmm
you know, we got a lot of stuff. So Christoph said, I think Gary Hoolan did Undead Bard and Spine Castle, maybe. Babix asked, off topic, and we'll see if we have time for this one. What little used faction, area, villain, or storyline would you like to see in the Greyhawk campaign written around? Yes. Let's tackle Greyhawk. Specific Greyhawk Undead. Now, Bill Sashar Score and Bill the Master Crafter just put Jay's favorite to put against us Juju Zombies. I love Juju Zombies, but because they're immune to magic missile and you need magic weapons to hit them and they attack, it's like 6 hit die monsters, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. But also, I love the thing that's up right now on the screen, Sword Wraiths, right? Sword
Oh,
Wraiths
yes.
are awesome, and Sword Wraith is a Greyhawk Undead, right?
Yeah.
Along
they were
with
in second edition, they were in
Yeah.
the Greyhawk edition, and they were in the Greyhawk Adventures. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great one. Along with, I just went by it again. Drowned Ones, another one.
Ooh,
That's
yes,
a great
yeah.
Greyhawk
Yeah.
a lot of
Undead.
those.
Yeah. So, Mike, you have any experience with any of those? Juju Zombies, Sword Race,
Other ones
Drowned
all
Ones.
the time,
Yeah.
right around the Pomarge coastline, all the time.
Okay. Because of all the ships. All the
yeah.
crash. Yeah.
Sword Wraiths, yeah, because they got that Lord of the Rings feel to them.
They do.
Nazgul kind of.
Yep.
And
And I believe they can be neutral. I believe they don't have to be evil. I believe they're self-willed.
yeah,
So, always a good, cool thing to
the
put on.
battlefield.
Yeah.
Undead.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, spawns of do you guys pronounce it Kias or Caius? How do you pronounce it?
I think yeah.
Kias, Caius,
I
I
say,
say
Kai-
Kios.
Kias. Okay.
Yeah,
Kios.
yeah.
So it's a little more
I'm
emphasis.
with Alan on that one.
Yeah.
Q's, yeah. mhm.
I always loved this figure from Ralpartha.
Oh,
And
you
this
had
always-
that one too. We
this-
had that
This
one.
one was always Sword Wraith to me.
It's
you
perfect,
know, that
yeah.
speaks Sword Wraith. So
It was the master villain, and I don't know how many campaigns we ran when we started playing, but yeah.
I'm trying to.
One undead that I just have to add because I think it's an awesome. I don't think it's a Greyhawk thing per se, but it was one that came out with the Fiend Folio, and it's the Crypt thing. And yes, and I just love the Crypt thing. It's one of these that sits there and teleports you somewhere else. I think it's the main ability.
I did a female crypt thing in a
Uh-huh.
stream a couple months
Yeah.
ago, and the guys were all like shocked. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
yeah, it's-
absolutely.
It's
I
like
love
the
them.
Mimic. It's one of these things that you should use at least once in your DM career to kind of tip off the players somehow, and it's kind of
So we have Caius. That's pretty funny. I mean, the dialects are so different on a lot of things, but
yeah. Like,
that's-
it's kind of
Alright.
one of these weird, but the they are
Crypt things
the
are cool.
spawn of Qs are really a Greyhawk. That was you had the whole Age of Worms campaign that was built around.
I
of
know.
that.
I never ran it. Did anyone
haven't
here
run
touch it?
Yeah, I ran the entire damn thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Why don't you go
yes.
over your experiences with that and how it relates
Yeah.
to everything?
The low level part of it was quaint, really developed some of the Domain of Greyhawk area stuff. Then once the Caillou stuff started to develop, then you started to range out a little farther. You're like heading into the Banded Kingdoms and whatnot. And I got a little, it just ramped up immediately. And then it was just really over the top, lot of combat. It was just, I can't even remember much of the story. It was just like one boss fight after another kind of a thing. And it was 12 issues back before Paizo figured out that maybe 6 issues makes for a better venture path.
Oh, they
there
did
was
it over 12, and then it's
Yeah.
future ones. Okay.
Yeah. They came out with so many different flavors of Caius Undead, though, that I couldn't even recall any of them, but it was just to keep you guessing, I suppose.
So it diluted what the suns are. Because I mean, they're scary as
Yeah,
anything.
you start out with the suns, and then because as you're going a higher level, the suns are no longer scary, so they had to keep up coming out with scarier and scarier Cayuse creations.
They tapped into so many nasties in the end. I haven't run it, but I've read all of it because I wanted to, because there's so many place names and stuff added Greyhawk content in those adventures, and Ragotha, vampiric silver dragons, all sorts of nasty stuff comes out at the end that are completely over the top.
I mean, I was fine with it. I was happy with it. I like it better than Savage
awesome
Tide.
fun. Yeah. So if you want to run top villains and spread your wings a bit in Greyhawk, it's kind of a cool campaign. Yep.
And in so I didn't run the whole campaign, but I had started running it when we still lived in California for the introduction with it, with the Whispering Cairn,
right?
Which I really liked. It was a really well designed dungeon put together by Eric. Pardon?
Is it? Yeah. That first adventure is just brilliant. It was well done.
And then they returns to that adventure, which is something that I loved back in the middle of the scenario, in the Gathering of Winds. And that adventure is what they introduced the True Ghoul to 3rd edition in. So that's before they kind of took and updated the Kingdom of the Ghouls Ghoul and brought it into 3rd edition. And they went back to the site from the Whispering Cairn, and you kind of had this additional layer of exploration you could do there that wasn't sort of available to you before, or something like that. And I just thought it was a really neat way to sort of revisit a place you've explored before in a game and give it more value and added mystery, cool factors.
So they
did that play out well, Mike, when you ran it that way? Do you remember?
Yeah. I did like the return, because that was something I'd never done before.
So they tied this original Dungeon magazine, Kingdom of the Ghouls, into.
They were pulling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Callbacks, all kinds of stuff.
That was a nasty adventure with Dorsain, the Ghoul King in it. Yes, it was really nasty. I think we ran it number 479.
And then Wolfgang did a open design project for it in 2008. During I think that was the 3.5 era, and that was the Empire of the Ghouls. So that was the sequel to it.
Wow.
Which I do have a copy of sitting right here. So that's like a, I don't know, 150, 180 page Underdark adventure that's totally compatible and expands into the Droic underworld. And then I guess, Anna, you said that when we talked about this at some point not that long ago, that they updated it to 5e too.
Oh yeah, and they have made it's they kind of took the story more towards Midgard, I think, but they updated the whole campaign even more, so to speak, and expanded, and it's coming. I don't know exactly when. I saw one of the early prints that was even thicker, and they made it into an even bigger product. So yeah. Wow. I think kickstarted like 6 months ago or 8 months ago. It was not the latest one, but it was the one, the second latest, or the one before their last Kickstarter. So yeah.
See, we burned through an hour already that quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Kingdom of the Ghouls was explicitly set in Greyhawk.
Yes.
And
then
then Empire of the Ghouls is sort of Greyhawk with the serial numbers filed off. Okay, so it's very clearly set with the Sunless Sea.
Oh, it's an Underdark thing, yeah. So.
Yeah,
wow,
exactly.
Then I need to get that one. Yeah, I don't have it. I need to get it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, David Snafu, I have some mummies when we get to my turn at the end. I have some special mummies for you.
Well, I'm glad,
a mummy question. What's that, Mike?
I said I'm glad because I don't have any.
Oh, mummies, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So, guys, thank you all for hopping on and participating. Please ask questions. I know we're going through the chat as much as we can, and we really appreciate you coming on and enjoying this. I'm having a blast here so far. This is great. So, what are you going to do? Let's do Anna. Anna, what do you got? You got one you want to bring up?
Well, we were on our way into let's see which one. I had a couple ones that now Crypt thing was the thing that I really wanted to dig into. But the Mummy, you were starting to talk about the Mummy, and I don't know much about mummies. I barely use them, so I'm really keen to hear what you guys,
Okay.
how much you've used mummies
Got
and I don't even know any particular mummies in Greyhawk. I was trying to figure out if I don't know any really.
I've only used them as random encounters.
yeah.
Mummies are cool because they have some. Everyone knows they're susceptible to fire, but
Yeah.
they hit you, and there's no save. I believe you automatically get the rotting disease,
I
or you
think
may get a
so, yeah.
save for it, but you can't get rid of it except by remove curse. And we know everyone does. No one takes remove curse. They all take paladins take you. Alan just
You need a
said.
long rest and
You're
a week
stuck with
in,
it.
in
Yeah.
town or something.
You can't
to
get healed.
that.
No healing spells. Nothing works. So a base
Yeah.
mummy is a nasty. I'm looking through this. I'm looking through this notation to see if there's any mummies that are referenced. But mummies are a great end boss, like in that 6th level range, right? And then as you get up, you can throw some more. But there's been some articles that have enhanced mummies. And I took this out. So the Dragon's Bestiary. This is all Dragon Magazine, August 1997. The Other Mummies. Okay. And
Oh,
Bill is going to really remember this story, and that's Sharscorn. There's a really nasty mummy in here I use a lot called a bog mummy. Okay. All right. This bog mummy can strangle you almost instantly. Has a strangulation attack. And then there's the ice mummies in here as well. All right, I got pictures of them running up, the 2 of them. So the bog mummy's super nasty, and I had this as one of the last monsters, and I didn't realize the other Bill had a Mace of Disruption because it wasn't her main weapon. Her main weapon was a flame tongue broadsword. She pulls it out, boom. I never even got to use it. I was like, oh shit, yeah. So that was a fun one, But you always gotta be careful what you give your characters. So yes, Maces of Disruption are probably the nastiest item in the campaign against undead. We all know that. So
Yeah.
yeah, but they have special abilities. Mummies, it's a great one step below what Spectre. I'm not a big fan of level draining either. I'm not. So, but I guess with specters and vampires, you have to do it. That's their main attack. But I love mummies just because of it puts you in a world of hurt, not being able to be healed. Because if you're severely damaged now, there's not much you can do.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. When it comes to level draining, I've done it so you can actually spend like a week and you get it back, so to speak. It's simply that you're so damn scared that if you stay in a safe, nice home in bed and just stay away from all danger and so on, and you stay a week, then you get some of your strength back, and then another week and so on. Or you can take it even longer if you want to. So you can simply say that's the end of that adventure, but you come back again. So if it's really hard to come by, so it's the quick way is to go to some priest and a temple, and they will fix you up and give you the god will give you the strength. But if not, then eventually, if nothing bad happens, you will get over it, so to speak, or you can roll some sort of save to get over it. That's how I usually want to deal with it. It's not permanent. It's not absolutely permanent. You can kind of get over it. It's more like a mental. You get so scared.
Yeah, I just drain their levels. So.
Okay, yeah. It's just
But-
temporary. But it's like in Pathfinder, you just get a set of minuses per level drain. It's called level drain, but it's not literally draining your levels. So
Yeah, but I tweaked the cleric spells though too. So I thought
Uh-huh.
if you've got Raise Dead as a 5th level spell,
yeah.
then being able to do a restoration should not be 7th level.
Yeah, that should be.
So I knocked
easier.
that down to 6th level, so it's much more accessible than it would be needing a 16th or 17th level
Yeah,
cleric to cast
yeah.
it in 1st edition or something
That
like that.
sounds very, very appropriate. Yeah.
Okay, so they deal necrotic damage instead. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense, Christoph. I mean, and 5e obviously has gotten a lot of things right where you don't want to. I think Mike said this earlier. It's not fun just destroying a character, unless that character's really a pain in the ass. But we won't go there. So.
I think they're just as pissed off if you take away D4 con as they would D4 levels.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
well, absolutely. But taking away D4 con's pretty drastic when you think about it on a permanent
Yeah.
basis. So, yeah.
I think the way I've used level drain is basically you get a minus on every thing you roll, whether it's to hit, whether it's whatever. So you just get a general -1 on every roll, and when you get another so-called level drain, you get -2 on every roll, etc., etc. So it just goes on like that, and then you can kind of recover that slowly, or you can go in and get divine aid, so to speak, through restoration.
PS Measurers, I assume Scary, right? Has
Yep.
said, what is the source of mummies in Greyhawk, Alan? You want to tackle that?
Yeah, that's
And Anna?
very interesting.
All three of you.
Yeah.
I mean, Sulis maybe wrapped them, right?
Yeah, I mean, mummies would be fit really well in a desert culture based on Earth, obviously. So
I think they're used in Hidden Shrine.
Oh, they're definitely in Hidden Shrine Tomokon.
Yeah. But culturally, I will see it as the out in the west when you have dry deserty conditions, and the bright desert, yes, but also out in the Paynims and over in the west where you have
maybe
exactly all you're getting there. But I'm seeing the dry steppes and the Paynims and the Baklunish, the primitive Baklunish tribes and others. It's their burial rituals, kind of, so to speak. They curse.
If there's any mummies in all, it's purely by accident.
Yeah. See, now we have the all expert. That's perfect. Yeah. So the way I see it is that the most cultures in the Flannies, they don't want undead, so they don't bury. They burn their dead corpses and make sure they will not come back, so to speak. They don't bury them, so they will come back and haunt them. That's the normal good countries, like in Foriundi and Keoland and all the civilized good countries. That's what they do. But then you have evil ones like I use and others. They simply use it as that's a government resource. So basically, if you hide a body somewhere, they will come after you, because that's like they go around making sure that all the dead bodies are collected, because that's the government resources. That's more troops and resources, meaning that's an enormous felony in the empire of Ayus to hide the dead, so to speak, and that's like taking government resources away from it. So, and then you have the other option is that these kind of primitive so tribes out in dry steppes and the Paynims and stuff, they don't have that much wood and stuff, so burn your deads might not be a good thing. So they use mummification as a way of kind of, and then stay away from it, so to speak. So I've used that a few times, but I've only had it as a concept. I haven't actually, my adventures players have never been out there to adventure, so I hadn't. But that's one way of seeing it as a thematic, because they need like dry conditions and stuff, because molten or moldy mummies might be a thing. I don't know, but that's yeah.
Carlos is on. Hey, Carlos.
Hey,
Carlos. Yeah, that was me.
Carlos.
All right, let's start over. Carlos is here.
Oh yes, yep. Now we can start over.
Death Knights.
Yep.
Flub, I'm assuming is close to you, Alan, right?
Yeah, that's my son Henry. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Ooh,
So Flub, welcome. How do any paladins affect undead?
An interesting question. They haven't met an anti-paladin, so I'm wondering now why he knows about them.
For me, I would use them. Anti-paladins would be able to recruit them, control them, and use them as the.
Hey, Brian.
What's up?
Hi.
Hey.
Oh.
You told me to jump on when I got.
Yeah, jump on and watch.
Okay. Welcome to Legends and Lore. Yep.
So, everyone, this is Brian. Brian Sublime. He's a moderator. He also is my 5e DM. And my old WoW buddy going back, and he does a lot of cool things, so he misunderstood. But Brian, I think the third episode, we're going to attempt to get you on. We'll talk about that at the end of the show, and we may have a Monday date for that one too. So
next time, maybe specifying your text. You know, it's Wednesday night's my game night.
Yes.
So I get the text like jump on when you go. Okay, he must have something to talk about.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Bye,
Well,
everybody.
we're talking
Bye.
undead, so
See
yeah.
you soon.
All right, we'll see you
Yep.
soon, Brian. See you tomorrow night, too.
Wow.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
that was awesome. That was awesome.
That was
Yeah,
my
he's a
dream.
great guy.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
I love anti-paladins because they're reclusive, usually give them very little henchmen that are alive, or one or two at most. And undead is a way to give them some more things.
They are Death Knight to be
yeah.
in the making. Yep.
Yeah, it's a great old school
Yep.
antithesis, and Tim runs them real well in his campaign too. He's got them all over the
Oh,
place, running
mhm.
around in the city state. So good question. Yeah, Brian will
Yeah,
be back.
so-
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so similar to how I do clerics, I do the same thing with paladins too. So I like the idea of paladins being faith specific and God specific. So some paladins would be able, anti-paladins would be able to command undead, others may not, just depending on who created them and what power they're serving. And so,
Yep. The champions of their faith, so to speak. Yep.
the Lords of Balance
Mhm.
as paladins
Yeah.
may
I wonder what a
well
champion
not be
of
undead
Bacchus-
oriented at all.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
champion of Bacchus would be. That will be a wizard with his staff going out and throwing
Or
spells at. Yeah.
Paladin of Bokob,
Yeah,
or an
mhm.
anti-paladin. That would be interesting of Bokob. I don't know if
Yeah. Let's see. Yep.
This is a Brian in the chat. It's so funny. All right, so who wants to go next with something? I have a cool one. We have an.
Okay. Yeah, Jay, go on.
Sure. Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
How have we not talked about, and there's two of them, how have we not talked about some of the most iconic adventures of all time? And Carlos came on, so we're going to talk about Carlos's favorite adventure of all time. We're going to talk about Drelsna, okay? And she is undead, right? She is there, and all her hotness of the pictures. I have the black and white one and the color one that was there we go. So, and the location of that we'll pop that up real quick here too. So I loved the ending when I first played this adventure. There we go. Igulshorn, Lost Caverns of Shokan.
I'm just going to go away for a minute, but
No
please
problem.
continue.
I loved realizing this was when we all figured it out. Wow, it's Ayu's half sister, right? It's just was a great concept from the
What a
beginning.
family tree.
She had that
Yeah.
unholy reaver. She had slippers of spider climbing. She's running all around that. It's a shame it was 1 on whatever 6 at the in that kind of fight. But you guys ever get the same experience from Shokanth as I did, having a
Never ran it.
really wow. It's
well worth
On
the
my
time.
list.
Yeah.
It's on my absolute wall of fame. I know it's Carlos's number 1 of all time, and it's probably in my top 5, maybe top 3. But and it's one of the oldest adventures ever written too. That goes back to the early 70s, 75 maybe.
76 is when it was run at
76.
WinterCon. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
I know someone.
and she's not named. Drelns is not named in the adventure for there, but she's in there. So
Okay. And then the second one, which a lot of people. Well, by the way, this is Castle Farlanst. That is the ancient, and Anna put it on the map. That is St. Cargus old castle. So it is on the map on the far east coast, in the Great Kingdom. So I did locate that, and then that one's a Carlos one. And how can we forget Sakatha and Tomb of the Lizard King? Sakatha is a vampire / Lizard King, which is a really nasty combination of both, and so. Draining and I'm trying to think if he had his what do you call it? I'm assuming he had his trident as well, but yeah, it's another fantastic old school adventure. You guys run that one?
No.
yeah, I did back in the day. Yeah, I haven't run it in ages. But he always reminded me of the see if I've got it right here, of the guy. He could be the guy that does the adventure that the screen is based off of. He could be the guy putting all this Lizard King with ghosts and dragons together, stomping out the world, that these heroes are trying to go figure out what they're doing.
I love that cover. Absolutely love it. So Brian has a really cool concept, which I want to save for a future Legends and Lore. It may be number 3 that we do. But one more time, I just put this up. I'm going to put up one more time for everyone. He's running a 40-year post Tomb of the Lizard King campaign right now, of course, in Greyhawk. So just check out. I know Christoph has gone to his site, some amazing stuff there. Along with, we're running concurrently 5e when he does Saturday Night Specials. Myself, Anna, Will from Return of the Bandit Kingdoms, and the Nazrat are all in his game, and we all got captured by Washri followers last adventure, so that was fun to say the least. But Sakatha is a really nasty. Let me put that back on the main screen here. So they're mine that are specific to Greyhawk as far as out of the ordinary undead.
So have you been able to turn him into like a long-term villain, or has he been sort of a, in that adventure one and done kind of thing at all?
For me, it was one and done, Sakatha. But Brian has come up with an unbelievable concept that is really, and I'm sorry to toot you. I'm sorry if I'm upsetting you by tooting your horn here, but it's really genius. And for episode 3, on that Monday, on that off week for Thanksgiving, we're going to try and get together a whole bunch of people and do Saltmarsh then and now, and talk about the whole area and talk about that, what the book and the U series and what Brian's doing and all that in that Legends and Lore, and that'll be one down the road for it. But it's really cool. So and Sakatha is dead in his, but he came up with an idea. So really neat stuff. Yep. But he's not an arch nemesis for me, in my campaign. But it's on that wall of fame as well. It's a wonderful module.
So that was written by Mark Akers, right? Because I think he did some stuff for Gangbusters, if I remember right.
I had it right here because I was taking some notes off of it for a future, and I got stuff all over the place,
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah.
Here it is. I got it right here. Let me see. So, Mike, what would you like to discuss next? Well, I'm looking here. Yes, Mark Akers. Yep. So.
Well, I could, let's see, going back to liches. I can throw out one of my favorite articles that I've written for Greyhawkery in recent memory, and that is the Hexad.
Oh yeah, that was a great article.
A group of liches. I thought always thought to myself, you got the Circle of 8,
yeah,
5 or whatever. What if you had a group of these liches, and it was a thought experiment or something like that. But their mission is to prevent more powerful beings like Caius or Vecna from taking over. It's like they're happy with how things are now. So it's, some evil characters who have a Circle of 8 type balance thing going on.
Have you used them in your games yet?
No, I wrote it specifically for the blog, and
I thought it was a great article. It was really a lot of fun. Yeah.
I have to go back and read it. That sounds awesome fun. Yep.
You had one of them who was like a new member, and they were kind of all still like hazing that glitch a little bit. Am I remembering that right?
Well, it was. I can't remember if it was that one or if it was the one I did before that, which was the all-female wizard group. But yeah, they are from totally different backgrounds and whatnot. And so I was just taking lesser known liches, so to say, and seeing if I could make them work together as a group. And some of them are very obscure. If you check out the link, I'm pulling them from a couple of them. I think are from Dungeon Adventures. One was Thessalar from. He was in Age of Worms, the Lich who created the Thessal Hydras and stuff like that.
Yeah, Marquesa from the Ghoul one, King of the Ghouls.
Yeah, so I'm pulling from different cultures, different things, and yeah, it
Super
was
cool, Mike.
So super lich group.
Cool.
You know, if you have a high level, group of characters who think they've seen it all, throw the Hexad at them.
So we got 2 questions from the audience.
Okay.
First one is question: Are 3X necropilitans basically animuses? I don't have an answer to that.
Me neither.
Hmm.
So okay, well, it doesn't appear
Doesn't
any of
ring a
us have
bell.
an answer to that. Draco, sorry about that. Is that Casey?
Well, with the 3 times. Yeah, I don't know.
Someone let a cat in. Now I'm gonna have a crying cat.
Not familiar with Necro.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell to me either.
Okay. We're striking out on that one. So
Amazing.
question 2.
It's a hang on a second. It's a 3.5 template.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
So it's it
I'm gonna shut my door.
seems to be, when I'm looking at it here, it looks a bit like not too far off from the Animus, so to speak, when it comes to.
Christoph is saying it's from the miniatures handbook. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Creating a necropolitan. Yeah.
So is the answer yes, no, maybe?
It has a little bit. It's an undead template that you put on a creature, so to speak. But I don't know the mechanical differences or not, so to speak. So I'm
Okay.
Yeah. So I can't answer that in detail, but a little bit of explanation. There is a D&D Wiki has an article about the template, so you can. There is. Hang on a second. I can put the link in chat here so people can look at it here. So there we go. Yep.
So here's the question that, and someone please take this one up. Are there Dracoliches in Greyhawk?
Didn't we just talk about that?
Yes, under the Dragons
saying
one.
Yes.
We
yeah.
did. So let me go.
Dragatha is the
Yes. Who wants to? I know we talked about. There we go. So Dragatha. Alan, you want to start that one off?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, sure. So yeah, Dragotha is certainly a famous Dracolich. Now, whether there's others in Greyhawk might well be sort of up to interpretation or your flavor of how you drive them and stuff. But yeah, Dragotha was added to the White Plume Mountain adventure in the orange printing of the book, because the map that features Dragotha wasn't in the original mono version of it, published in '79. And there's several other pieces of artwork that were added later that weren't in there. So the really awesome picture of the vampire sneaking up out of gaseous form behind the party of characters who are exploring with the guy with the lantern in front. That's not in the original version of it either.
Huh. Satinmere.
Yeah. And so Dragotha is only hinted at in that map that Aerolotus drew. And then in 2nd edition era, they added a return to White Plume Mountain, and as part of that, they published a side adventure that actually detailed some of the environs from the map, like Thing Izzard's hut and things like that. And Dragotha's Lair was that free download, and I think you can still actually get it off of Wizard's website if you know the old URL. And then, as Mike alluded to earlier, they brought Dragotha back for Age of Worms, which had all sorts of fun stuff with it. And a little side bit, in the Age of Worms treasure hoard for Dragotha, they put one of the Octiches from WG5 Mordenkainen's Fantastic Adventure in the hoard.
That's right.
Yeah. So Dragotha's awesome. What's not to love? But as far as I know, there's not really like a cult of the dragon like there is in the Forgotten Realms. I appropriated some of that for use with my version of Tiamat in my games, but there's not really anything like that I remember of people out there actively trying to, turn dragons into liches and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not as prevalent as in Forgotten Realms, but the ones that are in Greyhawk you remember. right? As far as they go. Definitely super. Thank you for that question. I think was that Thunder, but it was a good one. So
Now, have you guys done other dragon liches in your games other than Dragotha at all? Or is Dragotha enough for most
I think
of
it's
us?
enough. That's the only one
There
I've used,
are
but I've hinted at
dragons.
her. I used her lair to some degree, but I haven't used her yet. She's kind of, but I've used her as a kind of a draw for my upcoming Shieldlands campaign. She will play a kind of a one of the hidden kind of potential villains that runs certain things, and she is behind the screen, so she plays a role. I don't want to dig in too deep, but she plays a role in there, and her lair and stuff that ties into my theory about how dragons work and stuff that we talked about in the previous episode of the Gavin show. But we need to go back to talk about that later. But that's so that's the. But I think for me, it's been enough. Yeah.
Well, I think that you could always have an undead dragon, just a pile of bones that's animated and scare the crap out of players.
That's a great one. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can have just a dead dragon that's a pile of bones, and it'll scare the crap out of players. They might be really dead and gone, but
yeah,
they don't know that.
Exactly. That's a scare them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So haven't we all run the adventure card in From the Ashes, right? Shadows of Terror. Is that in the original box set, or is that in the? I think that's in the From the Ashes. I mean, there's 2 Dracoliches in that one, if I recall correctly.
2?
2. But they're not as super
Wow.
powerful. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So that's a great question out there. Who wants to go next with
I have
something?
one that we need to that we haven't talked about.
Rock
that
and
we
roll.
Just have to. The ghost.
The ghost.
One of the most iconic undeads in a way, but I don't know that many ghosts in Greyhawk. Any?
How about banshees too? Right.
Oh damn! You said it. I was going to see if I could keep that one because that's one of my absolute favorites. But but the ghost, the kind of the
cat cylinder.
ultimate of the uncorporeal kind of or these kind of.
There's a lot of
Just
ghosts.
think.
It looks like there's a ghost in Child's Play, WG10, and Return to the Temple of Mental, the Return of the Temple of Mental Evil, and
Okay, yeah.
there's the only Banshee one is listed as in a dungeon. So
Yeah,
But-
Jason pointed out the phantoms from A2.
okay,
Secret of the Slaver's Stockade.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a whole bunch of lesser incorporeal undeads,
Mhm.
and then you have the ghost at the top, so to speak, and maybe the banshee as a version of the ghost, or where do you put the banshee in?
So that is my favorite ghost miniature, which is the
Oh.
classic one from Citadel with the one holding the lantern.
yes, with the
Yeah.
lantern. Yeah,
there's some old ones, man.
yeah. There you have the image.
Iconic
yeah.
old figures.
Yep. But
Absolutely.
ghosts are really cool simply because they and are they as powerful mechanically as
Yes.
they?
Yeah, one hit on a ghost ages you 10 to 40 years.
Yeah.
So that's in 1E, 2E. So,
Yeah. And they also they can come and go through walls and stuff, so they have all the advantages of that.
And banshees
Please.
can just kill you outright with their scream.
Oh yeah, banshees are. Oh, I love banshees.
Anyone
They're
know
so
why
cool.
they were called groaning spirits in Monster Manual? Because it was a copyright? They're worried about it? But they have banshee in parentheses. I was just curious about
Yeah.
that.
Might have been
Probably
cultural
a play.
sensitivities. Yeah.
Yeah, or like maybe they had somebody in mind who
Yeah.
groaned all the time.
Tim, the crazy, the ever mysterious Tim just said ghosts can magic jar, which is another great power.
Yeah.
Yes. Good
Yep.
one. Good one.
And they did a whole series of spells. You and I talked about these when I was in Jersey last, Jay. About in Polyhedron, the Dominion spells around built on the idea of magic jar as a group of spell types that you can do stuff with.
Ah,
Like domination and things like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
mhm.
Definitely super cool. And another, I mean, if you're a half orc, you don't want to get. Wait a minute, let me get the cat. Look at the cat trying to get out. All right, keep going. Someone else talk about something. I'll be right back.
So
Our
the-
familiars
Ghosts.
cause problems. Yep.
there's the ghost on the Treasures of Greyhawk cover.
Yeah.
I don't particularly remember which
I think it's
particular
Is that one
scenario
of
it's
the-
part of. But
Yeah, I
might just be
it's-
random art.
Yeah, might
okay.
be too. Yeah, but there are some hidden gems in that book that I need to read it through again properly, because I've already found like 3-4 places in it that was kind of. But the Banshee, is that a version of the ghost, so to speak, when it comes
Yeah, it's
to
an elven. It's an elven. Supposedly,
Yeah.
it's an
Yeah.
elven female
but
that
it's-
has died. So.
And Carlos did a really awesome version of the Banshee
Let's show it.
for Oerth Journal last spring.
And it's on the map. Anna has placed it too. I put it up here. I was ready for that. The Cerulean Cyst. There it is.
Oh yes, yep.
Yes, good
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And she's another free-willed classed evil undead. So
Ooh, yeah.
Yep. Definitely. That is in Aberals, not far from my. So now I came across this when I was doing this search, because I was looking for the Crypts of Lirzindred the Mad on here, and I couldn't find him.
oh,
And then I was like, oh my gosh, here's a Cerulean Cyst to place. So yeah, it's
Okay, we have something that I need to take a note. here.
yeah, I'm not sure if it is. Yeah, and Christoph puts water bubbly screaming death knell is probably an understatement there on that adventure. But we will talk a little bit about this next week. So for a specific reason, a week from tonight, we will definitely delve into this one as well. So Gary says almost European countries have legends of wailing women ghosts, and some
Yeah.
migrated to New World. Pretty cool. So basically, the Banshee's set in the old European, lore.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, she was a harbinger in folklore, so a harbinger of death rather than the instrument of death necessarily. Although I think that might have also varied from some cultures too, maybe.
Yeah.
But kind of like the whippoorwills in Lovecraft stories, all twittering in the background as somebody's last breaths are going out of them.
Definitely, man. I mean, we got a ton of. I'm just scanning through these. We got a ton of these we didn't even talk about. So,
Oh,
all right,
yeah, that's-
I gotta go. I gotta talk about this one. Who the hell
Okay.
came up with a penangolin? That thing is so disgusting.
You've got the book, Anna. Look it up in the back.
Yeah.
You can assign blame.
Oh my gosh! Wow, what a monster that is. Yeah. Where
now I
it's,
have to.
it's
I
a
don't
fe-
think I ever
be,
used it.
Well, that might be a myth.
it's
I
a
think that's
myth,
another
yeah.
folklore one. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a disgusting thing.
Oh yes, that one. Yeah, I forgot the name, but oh, that's a good one.
I
That is
don't
a
have
great
that
one.
picture of that one because that was yours, right? And I did not. I knew I want to talk to you because we're going to show that next week for next week's Legends and Lore, Christoph, because we're going to have someone on next week too.
Malaysia.
Malaysia,
Wow.
okay, the Penangolin. So yeah, it's from Asian folklore. Thank you very much, but it is disgusting. That is just like when I saw the entrails sticking out there, and they have to put themselves in vinegar each night to get them back in the body. And now, believe it or not, Pathfinder has a figure. It's plastic.
Yes.
I have one. It's,
Yep.
Yeah, there's a figure for it.
Mhm.
Finally, so yes, absolutely.
I think
man.
Citadel did one back in the day also,
Yeah.
if I remember right. They did a lot of Fiend Folio monsters.
Yeah.
So.
It's a disgusting. I just had to mention. I was like, ugh. But it's a type of vampire. That a female vampire that hunts men. So another neat one. So guys, we got let's see. We got about like 10 minutes before I'll do my announcement. So we're going to throw them out there, guys. If anyone has any that you want to talk about in the group, please do. Like I said, I knew that the time was going to fly by doing this.
I just had one I wanted to bring up, which was around shadows.
Okay.
Oh,
So we talked
yes.
a little bit about earlier about sort of alternatives to energy draining, which would be, strength drain or constitution drain and stuff. So in original D&D, shadows weren't undead. The original, 3 little books D&D.
Oh,
And then
okay.
they became undead when they were incorporated into the monster manual. And
Okay.
given Greyhawk's, strong ties to the shadow plane, I was curious if you guys have done anything alternatively or different with shadows compared to undead versus not undead. And that's, shades are a little different too.
Now that you
Yeah.
mentioned the plane of shadow, yeah, why are they undead?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's a great question. I haven't dug that
Mind
deep
blown.
into them. I don't think
Probably
I've
because
used. Yeah,
if they drain another individual, they become one as well, right? So
That's
maybe
true.
that's
They are
behind
one
it.
of those things that creates half strength
Yeah.
creatures, as I recall.
We were
I'd have to
big
go
on
back and look and make sure.
shades back in the 90s. We actually had one of our player characters turn. I tricked him into performing a ritual, and he turned himself into a shade. And we have shadow mages in our, we have our own shadow sphere of spells. So, and they can summon shadows and use them. And so maybe they're like one of those hybrid monsters that's both, right? Shadow
an interesting
imbued plus
idea, yeah.
undead.
So maybe the plane of shadow is sort of close enough to the negative material plane. You get some undead-like powering of the creature, and it's turnable because of that. But maybe it's not still really undead. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. And then you have the slow shadow, which is in Return of the Eight, right? Oh, I have to.
That's Kuntz's actually.
Okay.
That's in Morden Cannon's Fantastic Adventure also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a picture of that too. But real quick, can I talk about these two? I don't know why they never made it past L1, but I have to mention.
Oh
And it'll be
yeah.
on the show Sunday for the second time. Believe it or not, I got him on the show for the first time. Leonard Lakofka's. I have to say it once every show.
Yeah, you did it.
Skelter and Zombire, right?
Yeah.
That are in, and they're like little mini spellcasters that are undead, and they can actually cast spells. And I use them to this day. I love those two.
Yeah, they're
I
great.
added them to my repertoire of the Skelter and the Zombire, and just something that
They should
he
go
did.
in the free willed undead category too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah.
And one that he created years ago, but never made it into any publication at all beyond that I'm aware of. So
Yeah, and he used the potion miscability rules in that adventure too,
oh yeah,
or however one says it, missability. I don't know.
Mini
And like nobody ever does that. Leave it to Len.
yeah. Absolutely. We'll talk about what Len has in store for us on Sunday because I don't know if I should have done this, but I let him choose the topic, so we'll see.
Are you allowed to tell us what the topic
Yes,
is?
I will. I will shortly. Very shortly. I
Okay.
will. Absolutely. We got like 7 minutes, I'd say, before we do that. So, any other? I know Tim's hounding me on Juju zombies. Juju zombies are different from regular zombies because they're undead. They're drained. They're not raised from the dead. Right. That's the main difference.
Well, and they're created by a wizard energy draining somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're much more powerful, and they're immune to fire. They're like immune to fire, half damage to fire, immune to cold, immune to magic missile, immune to poison. It's crazy all the stuff that they're immune to. And they're turned as specters. I'm sorry, Mike. What's that?
The low rent lich.
Yeah. It's a very nasty thing to put up against a low level party. And I love them too. And they move normally. They're pretty awesome monsters to go against. They're yes. Oh, have one just about zombies. Yeah. Did I miss another question from the audience there? Yes, I got him. Yeah, that was Tim. That's they call me Tim, which is Tim the mysterious, Tim the ever missing mysterious, but who's my City State DM on Saturday nights as well. Let me do that. So, Mike, what do you got? What do you got for us? You got to have one in closing. Come on.
Another undead?
Yes.
All right.
I know you're beat, man. We're almost
Let me
there.
throw out that I'm not a big fan of vampires like spoiler Thrommel, Prince Thrommel.
Oh, I hate it.
Oh.
Oh, that never happened. That adventure never happened in my ever. No return. No, I agree 100%. See, in our game, we freed Thrommel in 1987. So how the hell am I going to have? Yeah.
It's all done.
Yeah.
You have to have him recaptured or kidnapped again.
I agree 100%. That was one of the dumbest. When I saw that, I was like, "This is one of the dumbest things you've ever written."
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I apologize if
use
someone
that.
online had it was involved in that, but it's
That's almost as bad as Animus is taking over the Great Kingdom, but not quite.
I think it's worse. Way worse.
But you gotta admit, though, Gary, that the 28 Days Later was a great movie. It's just those zombies were stupid. So,
Mhm.
yeah, because
But I love Gary's saying that the Death Knights have a retinue of other undeads, but not liches, but they have all the other ones. And he mentioned some of the awesome ones like Prince Murhal, and you have there's the other one that hangs out near the Bone March. You have Depar, or Defar, the Dreadlord Defar, and Murhal that has his domain in the Adri. Those are two nasty ones that are around in the Ivid Undying and a lot of
Yeah,
the
more Death Knights.
Living
I'm
Greyhawk
more too.
content that came out afterwards. So yeah, and I added Duke Zephyrin to that list of in my campaign when I ran my Rel Devin campaign.
So, Christoph has asked about regular zombies, and I'm going to tell a funny story, if it's okay, you guys, with the zombies. I ripped off something from Neverwinter Nights. It's called a Tyrant Fog zombie. I use them all the time. They have a 5-foot radius stinking cloud around them. So if you engage them immediately, you have to make the poison save, or you start puking. So Tim, who's on's character, Sir Reginald Rathmore David Errol Trempier IV, Defender of the Faith and Vanquisher of the Unrighteous. Largest name, I think, ever in the history of D&D. He's riding on his horse. He goes in and charges in on a Tyrant Fog zombie. It's only a 2+ hit die, but it's got this fog around him. He makes a save. His horse doesn't. His horse just drops with him on it. And he,
That's
to this
awesome.
day, yes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. To this day, he complains about that encounter. With the time, yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's good DMing to do it like that. And think
Yeah.
about the horse and yeah. Mhm.
So I love all different little types of different zombies and not making them boring. There's other things you can do with them. You can give them all, that's a special spell ability. You can give them the Zombire. You can make them move faster rate for some reason. They don't have to be moving. They don't have to attack last. There's things called zombie lords that were I pilfered again from Neverwinter Nights, where they attack twice in a round, not once. So there's all different sorts of things you can do with zombies as well. So it's cool. I know he threw it out there about other types of zombies, so I wanted to answer that with him. So, Alan, Anna, any other ones you want to do in closing here, as we're getting close to the?
I guess we have people need to have all the shout outs and stuff like that first. So let's Alan go first, and if you have any additional things you want to promote, and now is the time to brag.
I will pass. Go ahead. I don't have anything to.
Well,
add.
really looking forward to see you at PAX. So that's
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, do you have anything in the works that you want to plug for the upcoming stuff?
I can plug a couple things.
Yeah.
Nothing of mine. Everyone should go and check out a couple blogs.
Oh, yes.
One is Greyhawk Musings.
Yes, and he's on Snafu.
Yes,
He's on.
exactly.
Yes,
Yep.
David's on.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we got that one.
Wonderful new addition.
Greyhawk
to the-
Musings got some good stuff.
Yep.
And the other one that I would probably plug, been putting out a lot of stuff for quite a long time, is Hall of the Mountain King.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Dakota.
Jason is the man. Absolutely.
So
And Jason's got a new version of the index that's been picked up and being
Oh.
maintained by other folks now. That was published not that long ago, updated in
Oh,
Excel form,
Wow, I need
and
to
it's
get that
hosted
one.
on Greyhawk
Yep.
Online.
Oh, then I need to dig in and
I think.
download it. Yep.
I think it is.
Okay.
It's helpful.
great.
It's helpful. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. When you need to find something, it's it's great to be
It's
able
the
to
single best Greyhawk reference for
Yeah.
anybody doing any research for Greyhawk.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
It's better than Google.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Yep.
So you passed, Alan. You sure? I mean, all right. Here's a question. I know you can't say it 100% yet, but you think you'll be able to play in the All-Star game?
Probably.
Okay.
I just have to. Yeah, I haven't. I have to double check the schedule
Okay.
and stuff. Yeah.
I'll talk about that after Anna. I always got to shout out to do Anna shout outs here. Anna, what do you got going on?
Well, I'm working on my 576 map that turned out to be a bigger project than I thought, because there's so much new cool stuff that I realized that I'm finding that I need to do. So the next installment in that is coming to come in like a week or so. That will cover Horn Society I use, and I will probably start Furyundi and some of the other areas that I'm working on. So that will come as to my patrons. And then I did a version of the 598 map that was a new parchment version. That one is coming out for everyone soon. So that one, I'll just put it on. That was kind of a new experiment that is fully layered too, so you can turn on and off and mask things as needed. So that one is coming out. And also I'm doing a lot of I've tested out and done the foundation for the Earth projects, the Earth reference project. So I'm working in QGIS, so I'm starting to reference the whole planet. So I now have Flanies and some of its surroundings mapped where they are on the planet. So that is something that will come out to my patrons this winter, and I will start presenting it soon, probably about January, February, something like that. It will start coming out as a we can start to kind of debate and haggle over what parts of Earth should look like what, so to speak. And in the beginning it will not look like much, but it's the foundation for all the future mapping, because that way when I can start do terrain and stuff, things will be nailed down where it is on the planet. And it's kind of cool to see the planet actually starting taking shape with where things are. And it's awesome to see. There will be a blog post coming very, very soon with some screenshots and stuff for everybody. And also when I do the broadcast on the Flanish Geographical Society and do like a stream to Facebook, then I'll show some of that in live stream, I think, as a cool kind of thing, because it's kind of awesome to see that we can play with the planet and start seeing the details and start being able to decide where we want the different parts of the continent and see it from various different perspectives and projections and stuff on the fly.
So we should chat about metadata while I'm at
Yes,
PAX.
exactly. I was just going to say, because that's the big thing in GIS, because you can simply just put things in an Excel spreadsheet and import it in. And if you have latitude, longitude, then it will show up. And the other thing that will come of it is that when you make a road, you can actually measure the road length. You can take it, the distance from one part of the planet to another, both as the dragonfly, so to speak, or as the if you follow the roads. So there's a lot of benefits to put things in a GIS system. You can get all sorts of data out of it, and you can also import a lot of data, and it will simply show up, so to speak, as imported data. Yep. So those are the big ones that I'm working on at the moment when it comes to the Greyhawk stuff. So yep. And I will also be at PAX Unplugged. I will both be doing stuff with Jay and his crew, and I will also work at the Sirenscape booth. So if you want to come and say hi and babble Greyhawk, then please check out where the Sirenscape booth is, because I will spend some time there and help them out, and that way we can babble Greyhawk and stuff. So yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so very much. I mean, this is awesome as an inaugural on like I said,
Yeah.
I feel completely honored that to have you guys here, and that you would trust me to get this thing rolling here.
This is fantastic. Yeah.
We've had a lot of fun. I've had thank you. I've had Anna, Mike, Alan on, and a lot of other of the Greyhawk community on, and everyone who's that is new to coming on here, a couple, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I said this to Alan when he first came on, and we did a one-on-one. I said I apologize for being in the shadows for 38 years with my group, and now that we've been out for approaching 2 years, we're really trying to reach out to the community. But here's some things going on that we have for. I'll go up 2 PAX, but I'll skip some points. Tomorrow night is our adventure. We're finishing up Hellfire Mountain. The group, the Huntsman, is after a death cult led by a fire elementalist and Dorgrim. If you're on Dorgrim, My players didn't figure it out. Dorgrim figured out the riddle that it was Imix that they're going to summon. This guy's attempting to summon Imix, the
Ooh.
king of the evil fire elementals. Yes. So Dorgrim, yes, there he is. You figured it out, and my players did not, and that was awesome. They really got pissed, and I loved that. So thank you for doing that. And then Sunday, I can't believe it, but Leonard Lekofka will be back on Gavin at Lord Peacehaven, scheduled to join me, Azana, and Brian Blumklotz right now to lead Leonard along. And the topic is going to be town building Leonard style. So we're going to see. I know he's got a Ratic campaign he's been working on, and Anna has some new map, right? Has some new map locations.
Yes, yeah, he sent me
Yeah.
some of his stuff months ago, and we've started adding some of his towns and started incorporating them into the Ratic area. So there is some cool, and there's some cool names. Just love them. That no spoilers yet, but there's some cool names and stuff that I think are really appropriate for the Ratic area too.
So we're going to have that. Oh, by the way, tomorrow night, guys, I'm giving away 2 from one of my sponsors, Stratagem, Worlds of Mercia card games. This game's super hot, really cool. Subscribers, you have your own drawing. You don't have to be on, and then there's an open drawing who anyone can sign up for. I'll give away 2 of these tomorrow night from Stratagem. Really cool. I forgot that. Leonard is excited. Leonard was trying to give me undead stuff. If anyone saw that in the one post I put up, he's trying to give me stuff for this one tonight. So he's really getting engaged, and I'm really looking forward to getting Leonard back on. And then next week, the next Legends and Lore is next Wednesday. Okay.
Yes.
Next Wednesday, same time. It's Anna came up with a great title for it. Write Your Own Greyhawk Adventure. Okay. With special guest who writes his own, Carlos Lysing, will be on with us next week, and we'll go over his entire portfolio. And a lot of people who may be new don't know that Carlos has written adventures for my campaign as well. They're brilliant. And we did a joint venture together at Gen Con as well. So we got some things that Carlos will discuss, and maybe we'll go over some ideas for how to write your own
runs Castle Entertainment that has done a whole bunch of awesome Greyhawk adventures or modules set in Greyhawk. So he's kind of an expert on diving deep into the setting and make real cool campaigns and adventures. So yeah.
He was just a special guest down at GrogCon in Orlando in the last few weeks. So yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yep.
So what we'll do is we'll have him on, Jason, and maybe we can get his entire library to you, and then you can index him up. That would be awesome.
Yep.
The week after is weird with Thanksgiving. We're not going to have a game stream on our normal Thursday. But Monday night's clear, so we're thinking about doing a Legends and Lore on Monday. What's that, the 25th? Is that the right date?
That might be, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. And we've already been talking about doing
the 25th Monday.
I know Brian, who popped on for about 10 seconds, can do this. I'm going to see if Will from Return to Bandit Kingdoms can do it because he's doing one, and Brian Blumklotz has his own. We're going to do Salt Marsh Then and Now. And Mike, you may be the guy who could talk about the 5e stuff because I know nothing about the 5e stuff, but I know about the old U series and what we did in that. So, and the fun thing. So I think that'll be a good topic for our third show if we can arrange the Monday. I know you said you were free, so that would be our third.
I don't know which.
Okay.
My Mondays are just so haphazard because we.
Okay.
Real life.
Oh, I understand. But we'll talk about that.
We don't have real lives. We live on Twitch here, and so yep.
We can talk about that as we come in, and then the last thing I want to discuss is PAX Unplugged. Is the 7th, 8th, and 9th of December, and I, think so. I live 6 miles from the convention center on the Jersey side, so I am DMing. I'm DMing Friday morning. I'm DMing Saturday morning, 6th, 7th, 8th. And I'm the night before our stream, the Thursday night before, which we use as a normal group stream. Anna is 99% as long as she doesn't get stuck with Sirenscape putting together stuff.
Exactly. So as long as we get the booth set up on time, and we're starting just after lunch, so that shouldn't be a problem. So so we should be done in the afternoon.
Christoph, I didn't even know that there was one named that. Maybe it was subliminal. I did not know that. So we'll call it something else. We'll call it future and past or something, so we don't call the exact same name.
Mhm.
That's really funny. Man, I may have been subliminal. We're having what's called a D&D All-Star Night here. In addition to my group, Anna, and if Alan's available, they'll be joining the group. Anna's character's 90% made up. So Anna
Yeah,
has a Sylvan
I saw
Elf.
some awesome stats that I might love play. That
Oh, okay,
character.
I'll go with it then. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
a
some
Sylvan Elf
an
Ranger
elven
Mage.
fighter wizard, kind of, that's a ranger mage.
Ranger Mage,
Yeah,
yes.
ranger mage is like 5/5. That's kind of
Yep.
potent enough to cast fireballs and
Yep.
and do some damage in combat. So that
Yep.
sounds like an awesome, fun player.
So Alan, if
character
you
to play.
come, I can give you the experience, the XP level where we're at, and if you
Mhm.
want to make one up yourself,
Yeah.
you're more than
Yeah.
happy to do
No,
that.
no,
too.
it's
So,
yeah, you
mhm.
make what you need for the campaign, and I'll try my best to screw it up. Yep.
But that's what we got going on, and then there's a lot more beyond that. But
Yep.
I don't want to take up too much time here. So guys, this was awesome. Thank you so very much. I know as the word gets out, Wednesday night's not a normal night for my group, but for my viewers. But we'll get that. We'll get there. We'll definitely get there with the amount of. And thank you for all those that came over and watched here.
Yep.
Please note, we're just going to keep the tradition going of having this great show and bring a little more. Try and. This will have my guys will come on too now. I'll have my whole crew of players and gamers, and that'll. Alan, man, you're welcome back anytime. This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, thank you. I feel like we have to do a part 2 of this sometime down the road, but that was we got a lot of. We didn't talk about a lot of individual monsters. We talked more about it. We talked a lot more about individual creatures, which is great, other than the general monsters. But it was a great discussion. So,
Yeah.
guys, if you have anything else, please. Thank you. We'll see everyone. See everyone tomorrow night, 7:30, for the end of Hellfire Mountain. I'm gonna throw up my exit ad, and we'll see you tomorrow night. And have a good one, guys. See ya.
See you
See
guys.
Good
everyone.
night, everybody.
Yeah, I got Carlos's ad up on this too. So that went very well. We talk over the ads, guys. If we're in
Oh,
on
right,
earlier.
right.
Yep.
I'm used to
Our
being
shtick.
quiet.
What's that?
I said I'm used to being quiet.
But this is tradition in your channel to babble over the outro. So to speak.
Thank
Yeah, I
you,
thought it was
Henry.
a lot of
Great
fun.
questions. Those great questions from Henry. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
lots
still
of-
curious about how he knew about anti-paladins.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You
Do you have that old dragon that they're in?
Oh, of course, yeah,
So,
but
yeah.
they haven't met an anti-paladin in the game.
He's read through. He's been sneaking into your library and reading your awesome
I think
books
that
and
was
stuff.
great.
Yep, yep.
Yes, I'm going to that convention, Alan. It's in King of Prussia, the miniatures gaming one this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go there Friday, and I'm.
You might bump into a friend of mine who's down in the Virginia area who might be coming up for that. Keith Sloan. He just did a fabulous playtest of the Battle of Emerald Meadows, running it with chainmail and miniatures on like a 10-foot by 5-foot
No
table.
way. Is he
Yeah.
gonna have it there?
I don't think he's going to have it there, but he's going to have it at GaryCon. So
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, can't wait.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone. See you soon.